Welcome to Local Flavor. I'm Deborah Anderson and we're here at Aunt Faye's Community Kitchen in Moreland. We're getting so comfortable here because it's such a nice facility to use. And it is available for anyone to rent if you'd like to. I think it's about $10 an hour, and if you need to use it for either a family party or to can your own sauce to sell at a farmer's market or to make cookies, whatever you need to use it for, you can call Morgan at the number below and see if it's available for you to use. So today what we're going to use it to make is taco soup, and I'm going to make it with chunks of beef instead of hamburger. Sometimes I make it with chicken too. Then I like to put hominy and cream cheese in it, but let's not get onto that. Any good taco soup recipe has ranch dressing mix and taco seasoning in it, and one time when I was making it I didn't have those, but I do have a kitchen full of spices. I have 3 spice racks and a spice cabinet and then some things in the pantry also. So I thought surely I can figure out how to make these things. So now I just make them all the time because I need to use up some spices in my kitchen anyway, and it's a lot cheaper to make them yourself. So the first thing I'm going to do is have those made so they're ready to go. And I'm going to start with the ranch dressing mix. You start by, I've got all my seasonings here and I'll measure them in, but this one takes a cup of dried buttermilk, and if you haven't ever heard of that, you can get it in the baking aisle. This is the only brand I've ever seen. It's Seiko brand. And I brought this teeny tiny processor just because I carried it in and I didn't want to carry my big one. I think I got this last year on Black Friday for $4, and this may be the last time it's ever used. So it's not very high quality, but it's very lightweight, so that's why it was easy to carry. And it barely holds all these ingredients. We got to process them because there's some big things like some minced, dried minced onions. So I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of dried minced onion, and I want those to be more powdered up. I don't know why you couldn't just use onion powder, because you do anyway. 2 teaspoons of onion powder. And I need to put in a total of 2 teaspoons of parsley flakes, or 2 tablespoons, excuse me. But I'm only going to put in 1 tablespoon now, and then it's nice to have a little bit of green flakes in your dip or your dressing, so I'll put the other tablespoon in later. So let me remind myself to do that. And then I need some dried dill. I need 1.5 teaspoons. I'm also going to put in 1 teaspoon now and 1/2 teaspoon later. Lots of things in this, actually. I need a couple of teaspoons of sea salt. I actually, when I make it into dip, like a little bit more salt. But for this, I'll just use the 2 teaspoons. 1 teaspoon of sugar. I actually forgot to get that out. I'll have to get it in a minute. So 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Hope I don't need that one again. And then 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, which I dropped, so we'll do 2 1/4 teaspoons. This one's optional. It doesn't add any color. You'd think it would, but it doesn't, so it's fine. And then 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. That's optional also. I don't notice it in it, so I go ahead and put it in. I thought it might be a little weak without it. Oh, thank you. Is that some sugar for me? My giant sugar container for 1 teaspoon of sugar. And I do not notice any sweetness in it, so I think all these mixed together. Now this makes a lot of it. I'm gonna run this processor for about 15 seconds. It's a little loud, so let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I will say sometimes I think it's a bigger mess than it's really worth, but then I see how much those packets are at the store and I go, well, I can clean it. This one, at least the processor didn't smell like burning electronics this time. That's a progress, I think. This was a very cheap one. It's a perfect size for this, though. Doesn't it look just like in the packets? And remember, we need to add our second tablespoon of parsley flakes and a half teaspoon of dill weed, just to give it some nice color. Where's my half? Oh, that's right, I dropped it. 2/4. And I could use a whisk or a fork. I'm just gonna use this little spoon to mix it all up. Now, buttermilk mix needs to be stored in the fridge after it's opened. So this needs to be stored in the fridge. You can keep it about 3 months in the fridge or 6 months if you put it in the freezer. And it's just dry, so it's easy to put in the freezer. It's not like you have to thaw it out. That's where I keep mine. Then if you want to make the dip mix that we all love, you put about 3 tablespoons of this in a 16-ounce a tub of sour cream. Or if you want to make dressing, you can use a cup of buttermilk and a cup of mayonnaise and mix the same 3 tablespoons in. So when I make my taco soup, I'm actually going to put in 3 tablespoons of the mix in there. I'm going to turn these on just to get them warming. Then I'm going to make taco soup also, or taco seasoning mix also. And this is only going to make about enough for this soup. You can double it or triple it to have some that you keep on hand, but for now we're just going to make enough to go in the soup. It's about equal to what's in a seasoning packet. I got a teaspoon of chili powder. I need a 1/4 teaspoon, where is it, oh, I had these in alpha order, but now they're not anymore, of garlic powder. Some of the same things. Then a 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. 1/4 teaspoon of oregano. Now, all of these are a 1/4 teaspoon. If you add them all up, it's a little over 2 tablespoons, which is about what's in a seasoning packet. And this one's a 1/2 teaspoon of paprika, so I'll do this twice. One and a half teaspoons of cumin. Where'd my cumin go? This one. So 1 teaspoon. And then a 1/4 filled twice is 1 1/2. Too much math when you drop your measuring spoon. And a teaspoon of sea salt. If you're making your own, if you have some dietary restrictions or you don't like salt, you can leave it out, or if you really like it, you can add more like me. And then a teaspoon of the black pepper. And I just need to stir these up. And I'm going to put them in the soup just straight from here. I'm not going to store it like I am with this one. Taco soup. So let's get started on the rest of the ingredients. First, I'm going to start with my canned ingredients. I have 2 cans of green chilies, just to get those starting warmed up. If you make it in a slow cooker, you'd pour these in the slow cooker, and you can let it go for like 6 to 8 hours on low after you get it all started. I'm going to use my low pressure cooker or any stock pot, and that would take about an hour on a low on the stove. So 2 cans of Rotel or substitute brand, and a can of black beans. Now later on, if I need it, if it looks like it needs it, I can add beef broth if I need it, but I'm not going to add it unless it looks too thick. And this is a 1.5 cups of frozen corn. That looks really good. I let it thaw out. So we've got that cooking, and I'm gonna go ahead and start my onions and peppers and garlic on this, and I'll saute them. It will take a while. I've got 1 bell pepper cut up, 1 onion cut up, about 2 tablespoons of oil, and I'm gonna crush 3 cloves of garlic in it. But I'll let us take a break while this cooks down. And the recipe has the meat also going at this time. I'm actually gonna do it after so that it can really brown well. So we'll put this in, and then when we come back, I'll start with the beef.
Dignity, respect, professionalism, commitment, and fairness are the 5 core values you can expect from All Faiths Funeral Chapel in Smith Center. At All Faiths Funeral Chapel, they consider it an honor to serve you and your family and their community. Built in 2010, their large state-of-the-art facility includes dining and reception hall to accommodate large funeral dinners, even anniversaries and weddings. They also sell customized monuments and offer pre-arranged services. All Faiths Funeral Chapel in Smith Center. When a storm leaves your home battered and damaged, there's only one thing you can do. Forget all about it. The men in black at Aqua Shield Roofing and Construction have the skills and knowledge to fix your home so you'll forget the damage ever happened. Along with roofs, they do siding, guttering, insulation, windows, doors, and more. With offices in Hugoton, Oberlin, and Liberal, they're never too far away when damage strikes. When you need to forget about home damage, call the men in black at Aqua Shield Roofing and Construction.
Welcome back. I have got these all sauteed down. Remember, it was 3 cloves of garlic. Some of mine were little, so I put a little extra. And 1 large onion and a bell pepper. Should be a small bell pepper, but this one was pretty big. So that's done. So I'm gonna put it in with my soup, and then I'm gonna brown the beef. Now this is just beef stew meat. You could just stick it in, but I think I've talked about in other episodes where I really prefer it if it gets a little bit of a sear to it. So this is beef stew meat that I just got from the butcher, and ooh, some blood. I didn't mean for that to go. I cut it up a little smaller just so that it would be more evenly distributed throughout the soup. I'm gonna get a little bit of sear of that, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want to put the seasonings instead of into the soup. I want to toss them with the meat. It's probably just an illusion, but to me, I believe that then the meat has more of a flavor in the soup. It's like it's more concentrated with the flavor, but it's probably not really true. So once this browns, I will put in all of that taco seasoning mix that we made and 3 tablespoons of the ranch dressing mix. And then, while this is browning, I need to start another thing as well. And that is right here. Did you start? In the middle, I'm going to boil 3 cups of milk. Because I'm gonna, instead of having tortilla chips with our soup today, I'm gonna make spoon bread. I love spoon bread because I love polenta. And cornbread is okay, but I always feel like if I breathe too much while I'm eating it, I will choke because it's so crumbly. So spoon bread's kind of in the middle. Love polenta. I had it once at Gella's under some salmon, and it was so delicious. And because it was called polenta, I thought it was something really fancy. And spoon bread's more wet than cornbread, and with the milk, it makes it. But we're gonna bake it like cornbread, but it'll be a lot more, less dry. Now, polenta is just cornmeal mush. I'm a little ashamed that I love it so much because it's cornmeal mush, and you know, that's very much what grits are, and grits are something you don't wanna like. So that's that. I think polenta seems to be more of a savory, and grits are more, I don't know, it seems like something you put milk and sugar in, so that's my excuse. So I'm gonna turn this up a little bit more to brown it. Maybe you should be a little higher too. Once this boils, I'm going to stir in 1 1/4 cups of cornmeal, and then I'll just let it cook down until it absorbs all of the milk. I hope I don't have too much stuff going on right now for my attention span. It's happened before. Something bad could happen. And like I said, this doesn't need to be cooked all the way down. I'm just trying to get a little bit of a brown on it. It would probably brown faster if I didn't touch it constantly. What do you think? Oh, I need to stir in also. I put those in, but I didn't stir them. I might have to grab some beef bouillon or beef broth in a can and add it in here. It is so beautiful right now. I don't know if you can see it. Look at all those nice, vibrant colors. Enjoy them before we put in the seasoning mix, and it kind of muddies them up. Don't fall in the milk, please. Okay, here's all my taco seasoning. I think while I'm waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and measure out my 3 tablespoons, just to give me something to do. Let me get something to measure it into. One. Yummy. Then I can put the lid on the rest of this. It needs to be an airtight container. And I can put it in the freezer for a few months. Just use it when I need it. I actually have a nephew who eats that dip mix by the cup. I was telling his wife, I said, I think that's ranch dip mix. And she goes, I know, I make it almost every day for my husband. So I don't know if she makes her own yet or if she still buys the packet. But she should probably, maybe she'd save some money. This is just about as much as I need it. You go a little higher. Just want a little, make sure it gets browned. I don't trust it ever since I made those meatballs and they never turned, they were pink after a whole day in the crock pot. Blech. Oh, plus I love this. Okay, and do the ranch also. Oh, that makes it look so awesome. And then I'll have this cooking on the stove for about an hour. Yum. Oh, okay, you're done. A stock pot is fine for an hour. I'm actually going to get this a little, I'm going to use my low pressure cooker, so it's kind of like a pressure cooker, but I won't leave the lid on the whole time because I'm going to check and see if I need to add beef broth later. We'll give it some time to worry. Oh, I don't want to ruin that counter. Ah, this is looking awesome. When this is all cooked down, we'll garnish it with lots of yummy stuff and, of course, our spoon bread. Are you getting to boiling? I hope it doesn't make a lot of noise with this little tappy thing. Okay, I really need you to boil. Do you know what? It was not really on. I don't know if I turned it off at some point. You know what? I won't make you wait for this to boil since I didn't really have it on. So let's take a short break, come back. I'm going to, as soon as this boils, I'll stir in the cornmeal. I'm sure you'd love to watch it because you do need to kind of do it in a swirling motion so that it doesn't get all gummed up and lumpy. So anyway, let's take a break. When I come back, I promise we'll finish making our spoon bread.
Did you know?
It's not just water, it's better water.
Better Water with Smith Center completes all your hydration needs. They sell Lundy spring systems, including water softeners, reverse osmosis, water coolers, and bottled water. They won't just install your system, they will service and repair it too. Better Water can repair Echo water systems and all other major brands. They offer softener salt sales and delivery for your convenience. Serving all of Northwest Kansas.
It's not just water, it's better water.
Make a difficult choice an easy one with Cedar View Assisted Living's knowledgeable and caring staff. Your loved one will be professionally taken care of as they transition into their new community. With movies, holiday parties, planned exercises, and games, residents will have opportunities every day to enjoy their time at Cedar View. Multiple room styles are available, ensuring a just right fit for your loved one. Come see Cedar View Assisted Living for yourself next to Sternberg Museum. The care you need, the home you want.
Welcome back to Local Flavor. As I promised, we did get the spoonbread starter made. This is just all of the milk absorbed into the cornmeal. And I went ahead and opened a can of beef broth to add to my soup also, just because if we have spoonbread, we want something to soak it up with. So I wanted it a little more, but you don't always have to, and especially if you're using tortilla chips like most people do with their taco soup, you might not want it to be that much more wet. I don't know why I use a pressure cooker and I won't leave the lid on. So let's finish up our spoonbread. We're gonna have to bake it, and it does take a while to bake. So I'm gonna beat these eggs up a little bit first. And while they're beating, I'm gonna add in some salt, a teaspoon of salt. This is a half, so I'll have to do it twice. Oh, it's got a little hair on it. It's not a hair, it's a piece of the plastic. I thought it was something in my salt. And 1 teaspoon salt and 1 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Here's 1 teaspoon. Then I'll do a half and a quarter. Whip up, you guys. And it's going to have also 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And then I'm going to add the cornmeal mush. I'm going to start with just a little. You can either let it cool all the way, but it gets pretty dry, or you can temper the eggs by adding just a little at a time. Maybe not at full steam ahead. That way it doesn't cook the eggs. It's pretty cooled anyway. Doing good. Now, we'll put this in the oven for at least, it's at 375, and we'll put it in for at least 35 minutes. I'm going to test it with a little toothpick in order to see if it comes out clean, and the edges will get a little brown. But that's just about as much time as it'll take for our soup to be done, so it's going to work out just right in terms of time. I'm going to put it in a 1.5 quart casserole dish, and sometimes I put it in more like a mixing bowl, like a ceramic mixing bowl or a stoneware, and that keeps it even softer in the middle. Doyle does not really like it very soft, so he prefers it put out like this so that way it's closer to his favorite cornbread. I can probably finish this up. Yum. Polenta. I'm getting this all over the mixer. Okay. Now I have used, you can either use Pam, which I did not bring, so we use some butter to grease. You need to grease the pan with something. Pam is okay, I usually use Pam. Butter will probably be even more delicious. Oh, over the holidays, my nephew was making something with a beater, and he was doing what I just did, and he did get his fingers in the beater. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Just turn it off. Batter. Okay, I'll real quickly put this in the casserole, get it in the oven, and when we come back, it'll be all done, and we'll put it inside of our soup. I like it that way. You can use tortilla chips if you don't.
You're in the right place, the see it before you buy place, the professional staff place, the have it delivered place. Frigid Air Gallery and Genuine Appliance has real stainless steel with fewer fingerprints and smudges. Ranges with true convection speed bake. Quietest in its class dishwashers. Refrigerators with the freezer on the top, the bottom, or side by side. Frigid Air Gallery and Genuine Appliance at 1224 East 27th and Hayes. The best price place. You're in the right place.
It smells very good. The spoon bread is out of the oven. This is it. It looks just perfect. It's browned on the edges, and I actually stuck a skewer for making shish kebabs in it, and it came out clean. So that's exactly how we want it to look, and it smells delightful. And I got my pressure. Sometimes you gotta release the pressure. So this soup is done, and it isn't as bright as it was when we first started making it, but it is going to be delish. I love it when the colors are so bright though. That's how it looks now with all the seasonings in it. And here's the spoon bread. You do not cut it like a cornbread, you just spoon it in like a dollop. See how it has a little bit of a moist texture on the inside. So I'm gonna doctor this up with a few jalapenos and a lot of shredded cheese. This is a mixture, the 4-cheese Mexican blend. You can use Monterey Jack cheese, some cheddar cheese. Always love a dollop of sour cream. And I'm gonna shake on some chives, or fresh scallions would probably be better. But this is what, I'm gonna use them up out of the cabinet. Oh, I was stuck on that. I'll just use this since I didn't bring my own spoon. Yum-o. I'm gonna get spoon bread first. I love spoon bread, almost as much as polenta. Now, let me get a piece of the meat. Okay. Very delightful, very hot. Definitely make your own seasonings and try your own taco soup. See you next time on Local Flavor here at Aunt Faye's Community Kitchen.